Oli Mould, Against Creativity. In Against Creativity, Oli Mould sheds light on how neoliberal capitalism has manipulated the once cherished concept of creativity into a tool that fuels economic growth. As you delve into this book summary, you will explore the different aspects of creativity that have been twisted and controlled by capitalist systems. From the workplace to the treatment of differently abled individuals, you'll see how and where creativity has been commoditized. The summary will discuss the effects of neoliberalism on creativity, the way the creative city movement created homogeneity, and the possible redefinition of the notion of creativity to benefit humanity rather than profits.
Creativity hijacked by capitalism. As you pass a homeless man performing an original song on a New York sidewalk, you may argue that this creative act stands out. However, it's important to understand that he's still selling his labor to survive within the capitalist system. The concept of creativity has evolved across time, from being seen as a divine power in ancient times to an individualistic trait during the Enlightenment. However, with the rise of neoliberal capitalism in the 1980s and 90s, creativity transformed into a means for economic growth rather than artistic expression. Consequently, this new understanding of creativity now serves as fuel for the capitalist system, with governments advocating for innovation and deregulation. We must dissect how creativity has become hijacked by capitalism to reclaim its potential as a force for positive change. Creative work beyond capitalism. Imagining the ideal creative workplace brings to mind images of open offices, cafes bustling with freelancers, or cozy home studios, but there are downsides to these setups and the current creative workforce. Burdensome work hours, constant competition, and financial pressures plague creative workers under capitalism. Fortunately, alternatives such as cooperatives or mutual ownership organizations are emerging, allowing for innovation and collaboration while challenging traditional wage systems. In an increasingly capitalist environment, creative professionals find themselves facing longer hours and increased workloads. The creative class, as dubbed by urbanist Richard Florida, comprises highly educated workers utilizing their unique skills and talents in roles such as artists, programmers, and white-collar professionals. While they enjoy more flexibility and independence than their traditional counterparts, the creative class has become inadvertently exploited by employers looking to cut costs. Many industries are shifting towards using freelance contracts, paying less for artistic outputs, and expecting employees to secure their own workspaces. The creative work landscape is riddled with systemic issues due to capitalism's effects. These problems include companies relying on cheaper labor through freelance contracts, lower pay rates for creative output, and continual labor requirements that pit workers against one another in relentless competition. As a result, creatives face mounting challenges as they struggle to find stability in their fields. Fortunately, alternatives to the traditional capitalist approach to creative work exist. Emerging organizations such as the Coffee Cranks Cooperative in Manchester, England, and Mondragon University in Spain offer a different perspective on the value of creativity. In these organizations, workers band together as mutual owners, prioritizing collaboration over competition. This fosters an environment where creativity is cultivated, and novel approaches to producing goods or dividing tasks are encouraged. Additionally, co-ops seek to distribute profits among their members equitably, breaking free from traditional wage relations. By exploring these alternative systems, creative professionals can move beyond the constraints and setbacks of capitalism, allowing for genuinely innovative ways of organizing work and nurturing a more collaborative environment among creative individuals. Embracing creativity's diversity. Picture yourself entering a buzzing nightclub, but something seems unusual. The bass-heavy music vibrates the room, the lights are more dynamic, and everyone is moving their hands. You've discovered a club designed for the deaf community, an environment which may seem unfamiliar yet offers a new perspective on enjoyment. This experience illustrates the core idea that true creativity values and embraces radically different ways of being. Our society idolizes creative geniuses like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, who are often white, able-bodied, and from wealthy Western countries. However, this excludes those with different sensory abilities, such as the blind and deaf, whose distinct experiences and perspectives can expand our understanding of creativity. The exceptional creators we often admire are usually born with substantial advantages, access to resources, powerful social networks, and opportunities. When they think differently or break the mold, they are hailed as creative, earning recognition and rewards. But what about those who are apart from the norm from the start? People with altered sensory abilities, for example, perceive and engage with the world in ways that many consider creative. Yet, instead of acknowledging and making space for these differences, our society tends to view them as disorders in need of fixing. For instance, deaf individuals might be urged to receive cochlear implants to be able to work in normal jobs. However, imagine if we recognize disabilities as diffabilities, unique experiences that provide novel perspectives on life. Reframing our understanding of disabilities is itself a creative act, as it broadens what we consider valuable human experiences. This embrace of differences allows us to appreciate alternative viewpoints, ultimately capturing the essence of creativity. By recognizing the potential for creativity in those who are differently abled, we open the door to a broader and more diverse range of ideas and innovations. So, the next time you find yourself in a unique environment or situation, take a moment to appreciate the different perspectives it provides. Embrace the unfamiliar and remember that creativity's true power lies in its capacity to value and celebrate a wide variety of human experiences. Opening our minds to the possibility of creativity in all its diverse forms can lead to a more inclusive, innovative, and empathetic society. Creativity masks austerity's impact. The financial crisis of 2008 shook the world and led to a wave of austerity measures in countries like the United States and the UK. However, instead of acknowledging the damaging effects of these cuts to public institutions, politicians and policymakers labeled them as creative solutions in an effort to put a positive spin on the situation. As a result, the true consequences of austerity measures have been masked by a facade of creativity, ultimately contributing to the deterioration of public services and the erosion of social safety nets. In the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, governments in the United States and the UK saved the banking industry with massive bailouts. Although they stabilized the crashing economy, this significant spending raised concerns about the public sector's financial burden. Consequently, both countries turned to austerity measures, significantly cutting public services budgets. These funding cuts forced cultural institutions, public libraries, and even entire cities to devise creative ways to survive. Museums and galleries scrambled for corporate sponsorships, even when they were ethically dubious. Policymakers applauded these efforts as innovative solutions but ignored the problematic nature of dependence on private funding. Likewise, libraries faced enormous pressure to pick up the slack for slashed social services by expanding programs that included job training and mental health support. Additionally, many were forced to transform into commercial co-working spaces. While these creative adaptations were praised, they also negatively impacted libraries' original missions, which centered on providing education and equitable access to knowledge. Cities too confronted the challenge of attracting investment and big businesses through novel tax breaks and regulatory exemptions, hoping for an economic boost. Amazon's infamous 2017 contest, where cities vied to become the site for its new headquarters, exemplifies this misguided creativity. In conclusion, the post-2008 financial crisis era normalized creativity as a disguise for austerity, causing further deterioration of public services and reinforcing a deceptive narrative that ultimately harms communities in the long run. Monetizing creativity in tech. The vast interconnectedness of our digital world presents immense opportunities to transform society for the better. However, big tech companies like Google and Facebook prioritized generating profit over harnessing technology's true potential. This has led to the use of brilliant minds to primarily refine algorithms for targeted advertising or monetize sharing transactions, rather than focusing on more meaningful innovations that could improve the human experience. In our modern era, billions of daily online interactions generate a wealth of data, contributing to the largest information reserve in human history. While big tech companies have access to this data, their focus often lies in monetizing individuals' online lives through advertising, instead of unlocking technology's full potential. Silicon Valley, the epicenter of the tech industry, was established on principles of pioneering creativity, experimentation, and taking risks. Facebook's former motto, "Move fast and break things," encapsulates the essence of this mindset. However, as power became concentrated in a few influential tech companies, their focus shifted from harnessing technology for innovation to maximizing their financial gains. These big tech companies employ brilliant minds capable of developing technologies that could greatly benefit humanity. Yet, most of their talent is funneled into refining tools like artificial intelligence and machine learning for profit-driven purposes. As a result, vast amounts of creativity are spent optimizing algorithms that track user behavior and deliver customized content to maximize financial outcomes. In recent years, the sharing economy has experienced immense growth, revealing the potential to orient digital technology towards cooperation and mutually beneficial exchanges. Nevertheless, companies like Airbnb and Uber take advantage of this trend by devising inventive ways to monetize human relations. Acts like sharing and used belongings or offering a ride have transformed from friendly gestures into financial transactions, allowing tech companies to reap the rewards. Even hobbies have become opportunities for generating income, such as running an Etsy store to profit from one's crafting skills. The vast network of our digital world provides a golden opportunity to change the way societies function creatively and significantly improve human experiences. Regrettably, excessive focus on market-oriented capitalism has greatly limited the ways in which digital technology can enrich our lives. In order to foster genuine innovation and growth, the tech industry must reevaluate its priorities and redirect its creative efforts towards the betterment of society, rather than perpetuating profit-driven objectives. The Creative City Paradox. Wynwood, Miami, an unassuming neighborhood, underwent a massive transformation in 2009 when street artists from around the world descended on the area, painting murals on warehouse walls and adding vibrancy to the once quiet district. However, this aesthetic upgrade wasn't the result of an organic burst of creativity, but rather a calculated move by a real estate investment group, Goldman Properties, to elevate the neighborhood's value. This phenomenon is not unique to Wynwood. Numerous cities have initiated similar endeavors in attempts to revitalize their economies through art and culture investments, known as the Creative City movement. In the late 90s, the concept of a creative city gained momentum as a viable urban policy. Struggling cities would invest in arts and cultural programs to reanimate their economies and appeal to a different demographic of residents. Bilbao, a city in northern Spain, offers a prime example of the Creative City movement's success. By investing millions in the construction of the Guggenheim Museum, Bilbao instantly became an internationally recognized destination. Since then, multiple urban centers throughout the world have replicated the Creative City strategy by rebranding economically struggling neighborhoods and introducing corporate-backed cultural institutions, public art projects, appealing streetscapes, and fun amenities like ping-pong tables. However, this approach has revealed two significant drawbacks. First, the Creative City movement tends to follow a formulaic, cookie-cutter approach. Cities overlook their neighborhood's unique qualities and impose generic aesthetic enhancements, which ultimately makes all creative cities appear interchangeable. The second issue is more damaging. The Creative City movement prioritizes the desires of real estate investors over the existing community's needs. New cultural attractions may draw wealthier residents, but they frequently disregard the importance of improving social services, affordable housing, or quality childcare. A truly successful Creative City policy should consider the desires of the community and aim for a more genuine, place-sensitive approach. Instead of treating neighborhoods as commodities to be bought and sold, a successful creative city policy should foster communities by respecting their distinctive qualities and addressing residents' real concerns.
As you have learned in this book summary, creativity has been redefined and hijacked by capitalism, transforming it from a sacred power or means of intimate expression to a mechanism for maintaining economic growth. Against Creativity presents a critical look at contemporary interpretations of creativity and their potentially disastrous consequences. Our workplaces, treatment of disabilities, the creative city movement, and the role of digital technology are some of the areas where capitalist interests have overshadowed the true essence of creativity. Now that you have been made aware of these manipulations, it's time to reflect on how creativity can be reclaimed and redirected as a force that can change the world for the better.